Okay. Says I'm live. Let's see if it's lying or not. Testing one, track two. My live. Got power. As in audio. Hmm. Says I have audio. What's going on here? Says I'm not. I'm not live. What's going on? Come on, come on. Says I have audio. Shouldn't be a problem here. Hmm. Says I've got audio. Check one, two. Check one, two. Hmm. Okay. Apparently, I don't have audio. Why is that? Yes, I do. There it is. Apparently, I don't have audio. Why is that? Okay, that was weird. Seems like for a brief second I did not have audio. I'm going to assume I have audio. At that point, hello? Anybody out there? Anybody there? Anybody there? Anybody at the door? Anybody there? 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. It's almost 8 o'clock. Tech. Uh, I think I'm live. I'm gonna assume I'm live. I'm recording. I'm doing all that kind of bloody stuff. Yeah. Um. mhm. Okay. Well, I'm live. Live enough. I'm not doing anything special tonight, other than just talking at you for the most part. Though I might do some. I don't know. I might do something else, depending if I can get it to work. Which I don't see why I shouldn't be able to get it to work. But how's everybody doing? It's Saturday, January 23rd. Already January is almost gone. It's unreal, dude. And we're coming up on what would be a year, almost a year. Um, I mean, not sure when the first COVID case was. I think that, but it's close enough. I think, obviously. Um, sorry, I'm just checking one other thing here as I talk at you. I don't even know if there's anybody here. Again, if you're here, just say, if you're actually watching, and just say something up in the chat thing there, because that is available. At least I believe I made it available to people for chat to chat. That way I know that you're there. And like right now, it says that there's two people, so I know that one of those is probably my other feed to monitor. But then there's potentially one other person. So if you're there and you want to shout out, unless this is like the FBI, or it's it's or it's someone keeping track of making sure that I'm not being naughty, because God knows I could be naughty, can't I, on these platforms. Oh well, is what it is. I think that all I can do is what I do, and people will listen or they won't. That's what it comes down to. So, but I think one of the things I was going to do tonight, just for shits and giggles, was to, obviously there's lots of current events to talk about for sure. I'm thinking that one of the things that some people know me for, and in the past, whenever I've threatened to just kind of pack it in because I'm sick of it, and because it's a bit, I don't know. can be toxic at times, is all the social media stuff, specifically Facebook, for me at least. Um, I do a lot of online stuff, you know, as far as that goes. I'm on it a lot, probably more than I should be. Um, you know, the way that I kind of have it, Twitter banned me about a little over a year ago because I took a racist to task in a thread. But the racist is still up there, but I got banned, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So there you go. I appealed it a number of times, and eventually I got to the point where it's like, all right, fine. You don't want me on Twitter, then I want what's like left of my profile to be taken down, and they wouldn't do it, or they wouldn't allow me to do it. So I went to the Better Business Bureau and complained a number of times, and both sides basically got so exasperated with me that I had the temerity to actually bite back and say, "Look, take my if I can't be on your ridiculous thing, then take my profile off." Because right now, if you go up there and you look for me, I'm still there. I can't be active because they've banned me from using it, right? And I could have gone back up there with uh, another another profile or another email or something like that. But fucking cares at that point. If anything, it probably just relieved me of a few headaches I already had regarding this. So anyway, so every once in a while, if I'm on Facebook and it just sort of is in a place where it's just pissing me off, or people are pissing me off, or whatever it might be, and I'll threaten to quit, or just or if I'm having a bad day and I'm being a drama queen or whatever the hell it might be. Or in this situation where like I have been in Facebook jail, and I actually apparently only just got out of Facebook jail today, I think. Um, I don't know whether I want to even try doing a live event stream from Facebook at this point, because they had shut me down last week again, and they shut me down for like very dubious reasons, or reasons that they had already shut me down for before, and like just were doing it again. But I find it interesting that they were doing it around very interesting points of reference in current events. Like they shut me down the week of the electoral votes being done, so January 6th. We all know what happened then, that week. And then they shut me down again for last week for the inauguration, or well, this week I should say. Was it this week? Wait, last week? This week? Last week? Jesus, I don't even remember at this point. Yeah, no, it was this week. Jesus, it's crazy. These days, even though I'm back to work, I can't tell can't tell one day from another anymore. So I basically I don't know. Maybe I'm paranoid, but that goes with the territory and the time, I suppose. But you know, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, potentially keeping track of the, and I get it, because especially there's still cretins on these platforms, racist ones, and those are the ones that do need to be watched. So if there's a little watchdog out there watching for references to you know that kind of stuff, it's only for me to talk shit about them, because those are the kinds of people that need to be off those platforms, and made to not be able to access those platforms anymore. Not the anti-racist, but the actual racists. I drink, their spit at me. Anyway, anyway, so when I go to jail and then I come back, people have said to me that they miss me when I've gone. There's been a couple of times where I've actually voluntarily taken some time off and stuff like that, and apparently people online, they follow me and they actually follow my rant, and I call it a rant like it's one long rant. It's like from top to bottom, from the day I started until the day I end will be one rant, pretty much. One long rant. So I think that what I was going to do tonight, again, to nobody apparently, but that's fine. I'm going to actually, what I'm going to do. I'm gonna reshare that I am live. Let's see here. But maybe just people are sick of hearing. Maybe people are sick of listening to my shit. Um, yeah, that's not the one I want to share. Hang on one second. I'm sort of in the trying to do a couple of different things at once here. So hang on one second, because God forbid I try to there we go. I'll share that. All right. Live now. All right. I'm gonna send that out again. This time with a link. And if people are so inclined, they will come and visit. If not, then they won't. And whatever, that's fine. Anyway, so what I was going to do tonight was literally trawl the internet, Facebook, whatever, and just talk about whatever it is I see. Anything from cat memes to the Bernie memes. Been a lot of those for sure. I'm literally just gonna put my scroll up, and we can look at it back and forth, and as I scroll around, because why not? Because fuck it. um, I am here just doing this because, again, as I've mentioned a number of times, I would like to do this for a living. So if there's anybody out there listening, or knows, or has been listening, or and knows of somebody that they need voiceover work, or they want they need voice talent, whatever that might mean, whether it's live stuff, radio stuff, podcast stuff, reading stuff for the blind, whatever it might be. This is sort of a live, I guess I could call it sort of a live audition tape in some ways. I mean, I'm going to try and edit something actual together at some point, something a little more professional than me just shooting the shit over a microphone in a purple chair on a Saturday night to nobody. So, but again, it kind of falls under my sort of romantic notion of having that radio show from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. every night or something, and just being a voice on the radio for people, for late night truckers, or people driving. I'm a big fan of the late night drive, where not a lot of people on the highway, and it's for me, I like to put on the Fireside Theater, or depending on what it is, music, moody music, some early Pink Floyd, or some sort of not doomy, but moody. Another good one is Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays's As Falls Wichita, So Falls Wichita Falls album. I think it was from 1982, one or two, something like that. Great record. Matter of fact, I want to listen to that record coming up at some point. Anyway, so that's the romantic notion of me doing this, along with the fact that I'm getting older. All of my various joints, cartilage pieces, hips, knees, thighs, whatever. It doesn't take much to put me into spasms of pain or whatever it might be, because the physical body is old and not old and infirm. I say old and infirm from my perspective, because I'm just out of shape. Now I am in the process of trying to get back in shape. It's just very difficult, obviously, for different reasons. Willpower probably being a big part of that. People have asked me, well, you stop drinking, and I've been sober. It'll be 20 years this year, which was like, woohoo, good for me, but it's like, the idea of juggling balls or multitasking and all that kind of stuff. It's like, as much as as much as it's not a real thing, as scientists have said, it's not something that necessarily humans should be having to do, but unfortunately our current reality on this planet is if you want to make your money is that you have to multitask and do two or three different people's jobs. For for not the same amount of money. That's another rant for another time. But so juggling that kind of willpower, at least in my head, has been difficult. So in other words, I mean, I've gotten better with it. So the sobriety, I don't worry about it. I don't have to really worry about it. I've learned not to worry about it. And I feel lucky that's the case with me, because I know with some people it's more difficult. I also think it's a matter of how long you've been sober. Again, I've been sober almost 20 years, and pretty much almost 2 years before that, but I had one drink in between, raising a glass for a departed friend, who departed the earth very, very young, and shouldn't have. But I can't, but obviously you can't count it. But there you go. Um, but my sobriety at this point is pretty simple. I know what I do, and I know what I need to do, and I know how to react to it on a daily when I'm in that place, when if I'm having a bad day, or even if I'm having a good day. Where if it's the bad day, the thoughts that go into my head, oh, I want to go to a bar, get some Boilermakers. That's the negative side of it. So because I want to just get drunk to forget or numb myself. Or if I'm having a good day and I want to go somewhere and have a nice cold beer, have some and shoot the shit with some friends. And that's the funny part of it, is that I feel both. Even after 20 years, I go from that pendulum swing goes back to forth. And and I've learned that that's okay. And and B, the fact that every single day of my life until the day I decide I want to have a drink, or I pass away first, whichever comes first, it's okay for me to feel the way I feel on any given day. If it means that I actually in my head say to myself, I want to drink, I would love a drink. I remember the taste of a brandy Alexander is really beautiful, wonderful. Certain dark beers, obviously, and all that. I can still enjoy the memory of the good parts of it, even though I can't partake, because for me, I can't just have one or two. One or two means, oh, I can keep going. That's how my brain works, anyway. But I tell people who are either younger in their sobriety, when they're people that are struggling or having a harder time with it, um, that what I see, and it's something that I used to do to myself. I used to feel guilty for for feeling that way. I used to feel guilty that, oh, somehow, oh, I want to drink. Oh my god, what am I going to do? Oh my god, I got to, blah blah blah. I'm in trouble. Blah blah blah. It's like, no, no, not at all. It's like it's just the reality of how your brain works. It's like scratching an itch. You're always going to have that itch. You just don't necessarily scratch it in the same way. So I've learned to kind of ride that roller coaster pretty well, and I don't really worry about it. The day that I find myself outside of a bar or at a bar ready to order, then I'll worry. you know. But if on a daily basis, I just say to myself, like around Christmas, obviously, Christmas time, eggnog and rum, man. Tell you what, great. And just in general on any given day, rum and Coke or brandy Cokes or whatever. I mean, this is just, lovely things of life that I wish I could partake in. I just can't. Now, going forward with that, as one gets older and infirm, talking about, taking care of oneself, or trying to, juggle the willpower thing. The thing that I've got to try and start doing, especially with my diet, is because my body is telling me, it's like, okay, guess what, motherfucker? Yeah, things like cheese has to go. You can't do it anymore because this is how it's going to make you feel. Or loads of sugar or whatever it might be. That's anything that's going to inflame any part of your body. Guess what, motherfucker? You can't have it no more. Okay, so try and tell an Italian that he can't have lasagna anymore, or Mexican food for that matter, or whatever it might be. That's a tough one, tougher than sobriety, as far as I can see, as far as I can tell. And I've told a million other people this before, that like I've had a harder time keeping off or keeping at bay things like drinking Coca-Cola or my caffeine intake. Now it's gotten a lot better. I certainly not where I was, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I was a right bloody mess. But I still, that's the biggest thing I do wrestle with on a day to day. If there's a particular day I'm either not feeling well or I'm really kind of low key or whatever it was, it's like, well, I got to get through 9 hours of work, you know, 4 days in a row every week. That's my job, my main job. So it's hard to, it's hard to maintain that kind of energy level without a little bit of caffeine help. Now, of course, people say, "Well, if you exercise and lost the weight, you wouldn't feel that way, and you'd have natural energy and blah blah blah." It's like, yeah, dude, I know that. I know that. I'm not stupid. I get it. I understand that. It's like, so most for the most part, people's hearts are in the right place when they say shit like that to me. You know what I mean? But it's like telling a heroin user that heroin is bad for them. They know that. They know that. They're not stupid. Doesn't matter. The heroin high is really awesome. For me, the caffeine high is really awesome, when it's like mixed right. Or if it's like, so if you find yourself trying to lecture somebody about like stuff like that, just don't. I mean, come on. If someone's overweight or if someone's, clearly, maybe not in the best of health when it comes to things like that, don't lecture them on what to do, unless you ask them, fine. I have a therapist and I ask them for advice or tips or different ways of, I haven't figured it out yet fully. I've gotten better, but I'm not there yet. But don't go around lecturing people. Don't be trolling your friends or your family about how big they are or how fucking, it's like, they know, dude, that they look at themselves in the mirror every goddamn day in the morning. They know they're big, they know they're overweight, or they know that they're, maybe not eating as well as they should be, or what, or not exercising as much, or blah 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 blah. Don't do that to them. All that does is make them feel judged and worse. And then they feel guilty about it. So, fuck all y'all for doing that shit. I'm just saying. Have I done that? Of course I have. I'm just as guilty of it, but I'm just saying. But it does go towards the willpower part. I think that's where it's difficult. You tend to get judged, if not loudly, at least, silently, people judge you. And you see, like, I see it at work all the time. I think, people see you as a certain way physically, and they think you're a certain way. I mean, I think it's probably just a natural human trait. That's just what we do. I'd like to think that that's changing a little bit with some of our younger folk, thankfully, who are awakening to the idea that it's not about necessarily what people look like. It's about the content of their character and how they love. And that's it, and, those of us that are older have some catching up to do. Those of us that are a lot older who don't want to catch up, well, y'all need to just kind of die off and go away because you're in the way. Thankfully, I'm in a demographic with many of my friends who, it might take some time for us to reprogram ourselves for ourselves or in context to other people. But I'm up for that challenge, that particular challenge. You working where I work at a university where I'm around young people all the time, and I've seen, over the past 20 years, I've seen that change, a lot. Just and it's I see the difficulties that these young folks are going through when it comes to specifically to like gender or orientations and things like that, and it's after 20 years of watching it and seeing these people kind of handling it and or being having difficulties with it because people are giving them shit about it, then it becomes it's an interesting to watch. Speaking of which, one of my friends that I work with at said university is up here. Hey Elliot, how you doing? What are we doing wrong tonight? Get off my lawn. Yeah. You got to come up with a new catchphrase, man. Yes, our workplace is a judgment-free zone. Oh, you think that, huh? Okay, I don't know whereabouts on the campus are you teaching, my friend? It'd be great to feel that way, but I don't. I think people people have learned, if nothing else, that they've learned how to judge and do it kind of getting away with it. Now get my coffee. No, you're gonna get your own damn coffee because you make your own coffee, right? Or you ground your own coffee. I don't know how to make coffee. Like I said, this is my caffeine sort of intakes. It's blue. See what this is? It's one of those little guarana packet things you put in water just for energy. So I'm trying to hydrate. Trying to who's this? Godfrey Fontaine. Greetings from South Australia. I watched last week's show on Thursday, and I'm back for more. Okay, well, it's good to meet you there, Godfrey. I So actually, so if you're South Australia, so what are we talking about? Like it's 8:23. What do we got? 15 hours ahead, something like that. So what is that? 8 in the morning. So it's officially what, 5 blah blah. So it's about lunchtime in Australia about right now, thereabouts. Um Early morning. Yeah, I don't know. I always forget what it is. Going that way and that way. I have a hard enough time knowing what day and or time it is. As we go. Um, anyway, as to my rant about being judged and about my sobriety and about willpower regarding changing bad habits and things like that. Yeah, I mean it's a lot of work, and some people have a better or have a better facility to do it. Now I've learned that I can do it, but it's a lot of effort. I'm not as good at the juggling of the that kind of I can multitask different things. Like I'm good at multitasking technically, like with at work and all that kind of stuff. But multitasking my mental capacity, um especially as I've gotten older, is that's I see it. It becomes more and more difficult as I get older. Now, one has to wonder to what degree that's something that is kind of runs in my family, because I know that certain family members, as they got older, they got a little bit slower and a little bit again, not no judgment, it's just the truth. There's a very real possibility, considering how my family goes, is that um things like vascular dementia, which is what my mom had. um I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think I have some money in the bank regarding that, because I didn't smoke like my mom did. So, she had a lot of things that were going against her that created more conflict. So I'd like to try to, pull back from that. And, basically at this point, I just need to like survive COVID. That's the first thing. So I'm less worried about, certain things. Now I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to do all that kind of shit, because obviously COVID likes that, yeah, and so, you have done a great job of keeping your cynicism in check. What, tonight? Or in general? Um, funny story. I used to, was in a band with some one of my oldest friend, Keith Munslow, and his brother Stan Munslow, way back in the '80s. With the skinny tie days, the days of the Police and New Wave, and it was not long after high school, pretty much. It's like I graduated in '82, so it was like '84, and I was still doing work with my friend Keith, and then his brother came into it, and we were banding about, okay, what the hell are we going to call ourselves? Because we all kind of had a very similar kind of talk about being cynical, and we were going to call ourselves the Young Cynics. And I still like that title. I still like that group name, because I don't think I don't believe anybody's actually ever used that band name. But I've always tried to keep that one in my back pocket. But we ended up calling ourselves New and Improved, which was more, about marketing, that whole marketing and that corporate marketing kind of thing. So we were trying to, I don't know, capitalize on that, so to speak. I think that, yeah, and you're an old cynic, yeah. No, well, old cynic, new cynics, yeah. Well, again, with young cynics. So I even think that, like, even if you're old, you can call yourself a young cynic, because I guess it depends on your mindset. Like I at the time when we were doing that kind of stuff, I mean, I was what, 20 years old or whatever the hell it was. And I was stupid, man. I mean, I mean, it's that Dunning Kruger thing. You think you're smarter, you're only as smart as your intelligence will allow you to realize, or whatever it is. That's the Cliff Notes version of that, I suppose. So I think back on those days, and it's just like, man, my youth was wasted on my brain space for sure. Obviously you get older and hopefully you learn things, and the body decays and the mind grows wiser. So I'm still a young cynic at heart, put it that way. Yeah. um Old cynics, I think, it's an important thing. It's an important job to have. I mean, God forbid. I you know I've never been one to have been I've never been accused of being jolly. I've never been accused of being a happy sort. Uh, and I'm just not. I'm not. I've never been that way. I've never been that guy. I was definitely not that guy in high school. I'm a drama queen at heart, and I think that more than anything, I just need to temper that when I can. But there are times for it, and I think it comes from a deep cynicism of everything that we're. I mean, look, Jesus Christ, look at what's happened the last 4 years here in America. How can you not? I mean, if you've got a brain in your head and an ounce of curiosity and an ounce of humility, how do you not look at the last 4 years in this country and think, what the, why, what, you know? And I'm very cynical about a lot of things. I'm very bitter about a lot of things, to be honest. And they say, oh, well, you don't want to grow bitter. Yeah, well, sure, no one wants to be bitter, but it is what it is. Um, I've been bitter about a number of things, about how things happened in my life, and some of it's have been of my own making, so I have to own that shit. But I think what it comes down to, and this is actually a fairly recent revelation, that on the one hand, I'm a misanthrope and always have been. So I don't take a hell of a lot of stock in the human species, really. Present company accepted. You know what I mean? The human species writ large, it's going to do whatever the fuck it does. It's going to do whether I have anything to say or do about it or not, or any of us for that matter. You know, I think we're heading for we're a big dollop of shit heading for a big old fan soon enough. You know what I mean? No matter what we do. Um, but I think that all that said, like my internal happiness and my day to day happiness for all of my life, I have always kind of pinned it and or attached it to other human beings and how I react to them, or how they make me feel, or how their actions make me react. Again, I'm sure I'm not alone in this. It's but the thing of it is that there's a certain, Munchausen by proxy on a day to day basis with that mindset, and it's only really just again recently come to mind. It's just like, yeah, I do that, and I wonder why I'm like really bitchy all day every day with people or with myself, and it's like, I gotta sort of, it's one of the things I gotta like remember to do, and again, slow, long process. It's a long process of mental health and how I handle it on a day to day basis. But that's one of the things. On the one hand, I've always said, well, I can't, count on the human animal to do anything correctly. Again, present company accepted, and it's a very broad statement. I understand that. It's a very dramatic statement. However, on a day-to-day basis, in general, the things that tend to piss me off more than anything else is another person either not doing what I'm expecting them to do, or me expecting them to be and or do a certain thing in a way that I would like to have them do, but eventually, inevitably, they're not ever going to do it that way. So I'm forever perpetually disappointed with everything. And so of course I'm like that, but that's on me, right? Um Elliot. Probably you'd. Yeah, I think so. I think it might there, Elliot. It's either that or you just like, dudes with beards. I don't know what it is, man. Uh, I think, Yeah, no, here's the thing. Like I said, present company, accept it. There are certain people that I appreciate in my life, old friends and new. And I think what it comes down to is that the people that you hold close, hopefully those are the people that aren't going you try to make you try to gather those people in your life that aren't going to be that person that disappoints you on a day-to-day basis, right? Um yeah, Zappa, some favorite cynic, most definitely. I'm a huge Zappa fan. So I it's like the original cynic. I mean, talk about going back to when it was started in the '65 with Freak Out. I mean, Jesus, trouble, no way to delay that trouble coming every day. It's like that's about as prescient as it gets. Um, yeah, the lab. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, Elliot, too, because something came up somewhere. I forget what. I don't know if it was a picture of around that time that it was 5 years this month. Yeah. Um, and and that was a lot of fun. And so for me, like, yeah, that's something, Elliot, that's a really great experience that I had in my life, as in a in a professional context that ended up being becoming friends with you. you know um I'm always leery of that kind of shit. Again, I've had a number, things happen in your life, and it is what it is, and that's a whole other rant I won't get into. But you learn to hold people at arm's length. At least I certainly have. I'm really good, really damn good at it. And so I mean, I think the irony is the fact that it was because it was at school, because it was a professional situation, we were kind of thrown into that thing. You know I had to be helpful in that regard anyway, so it just made sense. So it just worked out. It worked out to really really be a lovely thing, and it's a great memory. So like whatever happens with me and the job or whatever, there are certain things that will stand out in my time there, and that's definitely one of them. Um so I think for me, cynicism is just my way of just being careful. I've been, I think maybe not all of us, but I know me, I know myself, and I know a number of friends of mine we've been burned by people who are opportunistic or, manipulative or whatever it might be, because we're altruistic as a younger person. As much as I was a misanthrope, I was still altruistic enough to think the best of people, that they had your best interest at heart. And I mean, and again, it's a lovely hippy dippy idea, but and I always wanted to be a hippy dippy. um, and deep down, there's that little pilot light in my little heart that just says, that the human race is, we're all going to be good. We're all going to be okay and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's always there. But, shit, it's just too difficult to, well, I mean, put it this way. I think that tiny, tiny little pilot light is the only thing that kind of keeps me going on a daily basis. If I didn't have that little light in there, I don't know, man. I wouldn't bother with any of this shit. I wouldn't bother being on a microphone talking to people that I can't see, or I wouldn't bother going to work on a day-to-day basis, as difficult as it might be these days. Um yeah, well, I appreciate that, Elliot. I do. I mean, I think we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I mean, I think just my headspace and my physical space are changing. And here's the thing. If nothing else, this past year with COVID, obviously, and then I had that December off from work, the whole month. I was able to really kind of reconnect with my creative brain, which is difficult, on a day to day basis with work. I can't. My job is it doesn't allow me to be really creative, especially these days. I'm not doing anything creative at all. I'm just a body to be helpful at this point, really. Um, that I have expertise in things and this and that, that's fine. But there comes a point where it's just like, yes, that's not, it's not fulfilling. But right now, hey, I need a job. I need to pay my mortgage and all that kind of stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. But put it this, I have to leave the door open for the potential there's something better I can do, or that that just makes more sense, and that's going to make me happier. Now, the bigger again, what I was just going to say about this past year, I think we've all probably lost people. I've lost a few friends. I've lost a bunch of, I mean, I've lost people to COVID, and I've lost people this year just to like random shit. It's just like, it's been obviously a rough year for a lot of people. And the biggest thing that I've gotten out of that is this, like, shit, man, I'm going to be 56 next week. And I can't keep going on a day-to-day basis where I'm just not having any fun. You know what I mean? And I know people say, "Well, you can make your own fun. It's all in your head." It's like, yeah, I know that. But, okay, tell me how to do that. It's not just a matter of, well, eat right and drink, don't drink. I mean, it's sure there's probably elements of all that that make sense. For sure. The better you feel, or the healthier you are, then yeah, maybe all that shit follows. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been thin before, and I was the same brain space, so I don't think that. I don't think it's going to make a difference if I'm 100 pounds lighter, really. If anything, I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to have more energy to be louder and just that much more cynical. So, be careful what you wish for, some people. Let's see. When they don't do that, it's kind of well, that's exactly right, Elliot. That's kind of what it feels like right now. A bit of a grind. On a daily, and again, it comes down to I appreciate the people I work with and the job that we're all trying to do in education. Obviously, we all know it's important, but and with COVID the way it's been, and it's just been really difficult in general. But it just things are changing. A lot of things are changing, and even with the music business as it is, I mean, I mean, it's not getting any better. Like I've been reading up on the folks up, in England and Europe, when as Brexit kind of like, started on January 1st, they've made it so difficult for touring musicians. I mean, I know nobody's touring right now because of COVID, but it's just a matter of time before that goes away and it all handled, whatever. They turned down the idea of touring musicians to have like a literal, like a musician's passport to be able to just tour and do the work that they've got to do. They turned the idea down. So what are these people supposed to do? I mean, there are people fairly high up in the music business that are literally basically saying, I'm out, I can't do anything more. They're retiring, they're selling off the catalog because they don't have anything there's nothing else they can do. They can't tour. And now with Brexit in overseas, they can't. I mean, it's not even just about COVID. Like even if there was no COVID around, they still would be having trouble. It's fucking insane. So it's music business is gonna. I mean, I'll hope that within my lifetime things will change, but I don't know. And I suppose change is hard, and maybe it's just morphing into something maybe better. I don't know. But it's morphing into something, but it's not necessarily better because people aren't able to make money from it. People can't make a living. Yeah, be the head engineer working with it. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I think the idea of working with people how to do sound and stuff, it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong, it's a lovely idea, but like, so the thing for me, the hardest part, and Elliot, is like, I was doing this work, all that work, trying to take classes and trying to do my job, and still then also trying to have a life, trying to do my side work, my production work. I'll be honest, man. The past years trying to do that, and I know that's the whole point of, like, you put in your 10,000 hours and all that shit. I've kind of already done that, and the thing of it is that trying to put in that many more hours when I just don't have the brain space for it. And I'm not saying I'm not smart enough. I'm just saying it's always been difficult for me. School was always difficult for me. it was literally like a painful experience. Now I don't know if that's just because I'm stupid, or maybe I'm suffering from Dunning Kruger myself. Maybe I think I'm smarter than I think I am. Um, certain things come easier to others than others. For me, look, the only thing I really have is my ears. That's all I've ever had. I know what something should sound like. How you get that sound has always been a bit of a mystery somehow. But part of that, but I want to retain part of that. Do you know what I mean? That mystery, because that's the thing that drew me in and long ago. Like it's the idea of I almost don't want to learn too much because it will destroy the mysterious part. And I know that's probably sounds stupid or like the kind of thing where people have told me is like it doesn't have to be that way. You know, and I don't know if that's me just copping out. I don't know, but it's like when I learn, like when I learn, like if I'm playing out my music, if I'm doing singer songwriter stuff, and I'm learning a cover tune or something like that, and there are some tunes. I mean, they're mostly easy to do. If it's just like a typical kind of song type of arrangement for that kind of work, that's one thing. There's one particular song, right, and it's a guitar piece. It's an instrumental, and from the 60s, and it was like the reason it holds a special place in my heart is because it was one of the first pieces of music that I have a very, very clear uh sense memory of, and a really emotional response to. And I think the emotional response is very nostalgic. you know I mean, the music itself is not anything groundbreaking. It's not Beethoven's Ninth, but for what it was and for how I was brought up, for me, there it's a signpost of something at the start of, like, just my sort of initiation into the world of music in general, the mystery of music. So it's the instrumental from Mason Williams, 1968, called "Classical Gas." Everybody knows it. It probably it gets played however many times a day, played to death, I'm sure. Um, there is something about that piece that ticks all the boxes for me. It's got that kind of rock, orchestral. It's very bombastic. But then there's these little lovely little classical guitar passages, and it's all very, a lot of arpeggios, and a lot, it's very, and it's got very short movements, within that 4-minute range or however long it is. I don't even think it's that long, and it's got these very, very distinct movements, and they're very lovely, very well layered, and very just well tempered, and it's just one of those things that I just love to my core. It's a piece of music that I love to my core. As simple as it is, as poppy as it is, or, it doesn't matter. I mean, I love it as much as I love something like, you know, you know, Bach's fugue pieces, you know, or Mozart's Requiem. Those pieces as well touch my heart in a very, very, very specific way. Um, as does something like "Daydream Believer" by the Monkees, right? I mean, I'm all over the place. But that piece is I started trying to learn the piece because, again, it's very simple guitar piece. And I got about, like, a quarter of the way through, and I realized what I was doing, that I didn't, and I stopped myself, and I said, "I don't want to learn this. I don't want to learn this piece. I don't want to know how this works. I don't want to know what notes they are. I don't want to know what the chords are, or the key signature, or where the key changes are. Any of it. I didn't want to know, because it almost felt like I was doing something wrong, at least in my head, trying to learn this piece of music that is just so mysterious to me, because I'm still listening. If I hear that piece here at 56 years old, I am immediately transported to that 3-year-old child that heard it the first time on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, because that's where I remember hearing it first. Um, So ever since I realized that, it's one of those things where I I want to like the work that I do, the production work, or I mean, I know how music works. Not just the content of music, but how technically to record it and all that kind of stuff. I can read a score, I can do all that stuff. I can't do it quickly. you know, Elliot, you can certainly attest to that fact that me and Theory are not. We kind of button heads a little bit on that score, right? Um, um, Joy, yeah, we should for sure. I know we were going to do that with Mike DeQuattro at one point, so yeah, it would be fun to do. I mean, now that we're back to work, I'm doing this once a week now, so I'm doing this on either Fridays or Saturdays. So, yeah, Elliot. So that's the thing, like you're a technic, you have that a technical ability that I don't have as regards um, the content. Again, I understand it and I can follow it and I can speak to it, right? But I might like, again, what a certain interval might be in my head. It takes me a while. Like, it's one of those things that has always been difficult for me is the theory part of it and all that kind of stuff. But I can understand it, I can speak to it, and I can create it. I can do all those things. I'm just not as technically brained as you are. So, right. So that's the thing. Like, so in your situation, that's one of those things where look, I've given myself a bit of a short shrift on that regard, but at 56 years old, I'm pretty, I kind of know how my brain works with it and how I enjoy it. You know what I mean? And you know, that's the thing I want to try to retain if I'm going to retain it through into the rest of my life. Because I did have, for a long time, and you've known this. I was at odds with the muse, if you will. That there were times where I wanted to retire from music because I just didn't have the either the ambition or the love or whatever the hell it was, whatever it was. And I'm sure other musicians and artists obviously have that same. It's again nothing new, really, nothing unique to me. Um, but talk about scary. The idea of me having a drink on every other day is not a scary thought to me anymore, but the idea of giving up music, whenever that's crossed my head, boy, you want to talk fear, right? Um, you know, when because I don't have a lot of f- because I'm not able to focus because of the nature of my day-to-day existence right now. That's the thing that I'm missing, and that's the thing that I rejoined or reconnected with even a little bit in December when I had that month off, is that I need the focus, and I can't do that with my current state of mind and my current situation. You know what I mean? I have to shift my focus on a very just sort of day-to-day kind of grinder kind of level because I need to pay my bills. That's the long and short of it, and I need health insurance. That's the long and short of it. So that's my axe to grind, or that's my rock to roll up the hill. However, I need to see if I can do something different as I get older, man. I need to, like doing what I'm doing right now, just talking on the microphone to a bunch of people and chatting on the thing. I love that, and I mean, Ellie, you've known me for a while now, about 5 years, and I'm a talker. um, if I'm not feeling too insular or whatever it might be. Um, all right, cool. Yeah, no, Elliot, I will talk to you soon for sure. Um, I think that yeah. Long story short, I have wanted to move, if not laterally, to a different sort of frame of daily reference. Um, I guess it's as good a way to say that, really. You know, um, and listen, I feel lucky to be even just the idea of entertaining this idea of doing it. I mean, I've got a lot of irons in the fire that I need to figure out before I would be able to fully either move along to a different thing or like whatever my second act is going to be, you know. And it is a second act. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a third act. Maybe if I put it as a third act, maybe third act sounds like a better play, doesn't it? Hmm. My first act was, you know, I would like to say my first act was, I mean, childhood almost doesn't count, if that makes any sense. But my first act was pretty much up until the point where I, fell apart when I was 35, and then I quit drinking, and then my second act has been these last 20 years, kind of working on the day to day job. But I think the third act is it's coming up. There's going to be an intermission. There has to be, because this kind of grind is not going to work for me long term. That's the long and the short of it. You know. But anyway, so I think that I got on a big rant from, I don't know. I kind of just went, I don't know. But I was talking about sobriety, and I was talking about willpower, and then my friend Elliot came up, and we started to talking a little bit about music and all that. And one of the things I was also saying was that I was talking about, what was it? Yeah, willpower. That's right. Um, and talking about how trying to change one's habits is not, it's not an easy, not an easy thing to do. Again, if your body's telling you you can't eat cheese anymore, that sucks. That just sucks. But I'm that's where I'm at right now. Either that, or I go have a pizza, and then I don't sleep for 3 or 4 days, because what I've got is this thing called costochondritis, which is kind of like it's an inflammation of the cartilage that holds the ribs to the sternum. So it gets inflamed, and it feels like, it's chest discomfort. It's not a heart attack. It's not COVID. Lungs are clear. It's like it's already been. It's pretty much this thing. They don't know what causes it really. They think it's an inflammatory kind of potentially linked to arthritic conditions, which I already have in other areas of my body. So yeah, I literally may just have arthritis of the chest. Oh well, it is what it is. So yeah, so I'm just, if that's what I have to handle in life, then that's what I have to handle. It is what it is. But anyway, so what I was thinking of doing, what I was going to try and do was, so one of the things that I have done or do with social media is I go online and I scroll the woe, as Peter Bergman used to say, troll the woe. That's what he used to say, and just look at what people are putting up in the stream, right? And I thought I could just I'll kind of do that live for a little while, for shits and giggles, and I'll just riff off of what I see. So let's see. I want to make sure that there's nothing untoward in the feed here. Hang on one second. That's good. There we go. Okay. So let's see. What do we got? So here's my feed. The first thing I see is something about the banana splits. That's pretty fucking funny. Banana splits, man. Okay, tell you what. That's another, in talking about my childhood and talking about the things that moved me musically. Obviously, the people that know me or have seen my feed or whatever, they know I'm a huge Monkees fan. The Monkees were my first musical memory. I was maybe 1 or 2, and I'm pretty sure it was I'm a Believer. So Mickey Dolenz was the first musical voice that I remember hearing. But, obviously during all that time, the Beatles were definitely there. I was just talking about Classical Gas, from the Mason Williams. But the Banana Splits as well, we're talking from 69, 68 or 9 on or whatever, you know, you're looking at, basically Hanna-Barbera, at the time, four dudes in these funny costumes doing a silly Saturday morning show, but the music was awesome. You know? Um, the music, was done by a bunch of studio players, uh, and, they the music that that they did for the Banana Splits was actually fantastic. It's funky, and I mean, it's got like amazing stuff. So one kind of fun fact about the Banana Splits, that a number of the people that worked on those tracks went on to be people like Barry White, people that worked in Funkadelic or Parliament. A lot of those dudes were hot shit session players. Um, so if you were to listen to any Banana Split stuff, you're going to hear some of those voices are, that, you know, in my mind, it was like, it was, Flegel, the dog character, singing, but it's potentially Barry White. so, do the math of that, right? Um, yeah, and you don't learn those things until much later in life, but those are lovely tidbits that I like. That to me, uh, kind of, just make me reflect of the road that I've been able to take regarding music. Now, another person. So, again, the one fun thing about Facebook is that you're able to keep track of, people that you love. So here's a person that I love, Michael Nesmith, who is a pothead, man, lately. Shit. And he's not, he is vociferous about it, and he's passionate about it, and it's really funny. Uh, so talk about someone who is instrumental in getting my musical brain where it is right now, with the Monkees and also with his solo work. You know, I talk about I talk about the human voice a lot because, obviously, it's something that I do, but I know where it comes from. I know I know I know the importance that the human voice has on other people, or can have on other people. Certain people that have, those kind, someone like, um, certain actors that just, have something, I mean, you'll know the voice when you hear them, or there's just something about like a person singing voice is very distinctive, right? So when I hear Michael Nesmith's voice singing specifically, um, there's something about it that is very comforting and very, I mean, deep. There's something deeply moving about it. Not that it makes me cry all the time, but it's just there's something about his voice, because I grew up with it, because, again, within the Monkees, and how that relates to my personal experience as a child, as a lonely child, well, let's back up. As a child who was alone, I was not necessarily a lonely child, because I actually enjoy my solitude. However, but when you are listening to somebody or watching somebody on television, their very, very distinctive voice, the one that he has, it tends to stick to you like, something you're never gonna, it's just gonna be emblazoned on your head forever. Um, but just the way he is able to convey what he conveys, either as a musician or otherwise, is has always been deeply kind of, I just feel like a deep connection to it. So whenever I had the time, and it's up on my YouTube channel somewhere. Whenever I got the opportunity this past year during the COVID thing, he was doing these, online Zoom meet and greets, and, at the time, I just said, if I don't do this now, I'm going to regret that I never did. So I did a meet and greet with Mike Nesmith, and, I mean, you talk about something that you, never would have thought could happen or would happen. uh, and you go up on my YouTube channel and look for it, and it's really fun. He's fun and funny, but we had just this great conversation. Now I went into it very specifically though. Because I had met him once before at a solo show at a meet and greet after a show a few years back when he had come back and started touring again after a long time of not doing that. And so I did a meet and greet with him and met him, and I had to say to myself, you know, I was either going to lose my shit as a fanboy, or I was going to try and keep it cool. I kept it as cool as I could, but it was like, it was a moving experience for me. Um, so I don't know if he remembered me, but I told him, I said, yeah, we met once before, etc. But the thing that I wanted to do at the meet and greet was not to talk about the monkeys specifically. I said, I'm not bringing the monkeys up once. I'm going to talk about his solo work. I'm just going to certain things that I knew about, like, that he was into or whatever. And we just got off on this thing. We went off on this little tangent and we were just chatting. And it was so easy and smooth. It wasn't awkward. It was just like we've known each other forever and we just haven't seen each other in a long time. And it was only about, 15 minutes or so because he had like other people to do. And it was funny because at one point in there, I make some sort of statement about something or other, and he says, "Well, I'm really enjoying the conversation, but they're meaning his handlers are telling me I got to start signing the thing and doing, we got to move on and blah blah blah." So part of me wants to maybe do another meet and greet and take up the conversation where we left off, right? Because something tells me he'd be cool for it. But yeah, so that's one of those moments that I'll never forget. Being able to talk with someone like that, uh, who informed a huge part of my life. And I told him the first time I met him live in person, it's like, look, dude, I said, you meant and or mean more to me than my own father did. So, do the math of that. You know, think about that for a second. If someone comes up to you that you don't know and have never met before, says some shit like that to you. It wasn't until much later that I realized it's like, oh, that was a lot. That's a lot to hang on somebody, man. Whether especially if they're a celebrity who's like sort of, in his mindset about it all, the monkeys and all that, is very sanguine and very sort of resigned. I think he'd be more than happy never to talk about it ever again. But I think maybe he's gotten older and just got less cynical or whatever. We're talking about being cynical as well. Anyway, hanging that kind of thing on a celebrity because you think you know them well, that was a lot. And on some levels, I kind of regret doing it. But on the other hand, I felt like I needed to say it, if not for myself. And he took it very well. It was very, I held it together. But I think it was one of those things. I think he understood it more than anything. I think he just understood it. He may not have. I don't whether he could appreciate it or not. I think he understood where I was coming from. Because I think that's probably, again, I don't think I was very unique in that situation. Having a life where parents are sort of absent, either emotionally or otherwise. So the people that were in my life on a daily basis that never disappointed me, and I mean never disappointed me, was the monkeys. Watching them, in their first era, and then on Saturday mornings, and then in syndication forever and ever, they have never disappointed me. Now, you can't say that about people in your own life. You can't, whether they're family, whether they're friends or whatever. There's always going to be someone there to disappoint you, colleagues, work people, whatever it might be. So when you identify something that happens in your life that doesn't disappoint you, and it's connected to humans, even if it's a human construct, like, an idea of what Mike Nesmith was as a monkey, Mike Nesmith monkey. I mean, that's an identity that has nothing to do with him as a person, but that's how I was approaching that particular thing that I said to him, and I think that's the funny part. It's like, they don't identify, as any of that, obviously, because it's not real. Same thing with the Beatles. It's, the George being the quiet one or whatever. George wasn't the quiet one. If anything, from what everybody has said, is like he talked a mile a minute and he was a funny motherfucker. He just wasn't maybe as cynical as someone like Lennon, but he was just as witty. He was just like the other end of it. So calling George Harrison the quiet Beatle is like, no, he wasn't. Apparently, he just came across that way because he didn't like fame. Because he came across that way in the interviews because he didn't want to be there. In the end, that's what it looks. You look at old interviews of the Beatles, in the heyday. He just doesn't want to be there. He had his fill after the first year and went, oh boy, oh boy, what have I done here? Anyway, so I'm just scrolling here, because I'm just looking at stuff on Facebook. So obviously there's a lot of things going on in the world, good and bad. I guess I could, so here's the thing. I guess what it comes down to is I could certainly go back and forth. And so this is the Facebook milieu, atmosphere, I guess maybe is one thing leads to another, and you have everything from a cat meme to talking about the banana splits, and then suddenly you're talking about the resistance and the fact that it's saying here the Justice Department, FBI debate not charging some of the Capitol rioters. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great fucking idea. So basically tell people who rioted and took part in that insurrection on the 6th, that you're okay. We're going to let you go, but just don't do it again now. Are you fucking kidding me right now? It's like, something, if they do that, then we deserve everything we get. Then if we don't have the balls to throw these motherfuckers in jail for the shit that they did, are you fucking kidding me right now? Why? Because they're white? Because I tell you what, though, if all those people were black, they'd have been dead, shot the fuck dead, and you all know it. So that's stupid. Now, yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think that the new administration will look at that and go, I don't fucking think so. We'll see, right? That's just some dumbass shit, along the same lines. Here's QAnon followers implode after big moment never comes. Says we all got played. It's like, well, what the fuck were you expecting, you shithead? Like, seriously, what the fuck were you expecting? You were expecting like a Mad Max movie? Is that because that's clearly like somehow how you all dressed when you went there? Idiots. I mean, so these are the things that make me cynical. These are the things that make me misanthropic. And, again, it's not a good thing. Senator Tom Cotton, he's just a weasel. I'm not even going to get into it. He saying that he was an Army Ranger, but he wasn't an Army Ranger. He's lying his ass off is what it comes down to. So the Bernie meme. Okay. We got to talk about the Bernie meme here. I mean, so right hot on the heels of being cynical about the human propensity for stupidity, right? Here we have, I mean, it was within hours. Like, I would really be curious as to how long did it take whoever the first person did to take that photo of him sitting there to then place him, like, what's the first meme? Like, I would really like to find out what that is, right? And when it was, like, how long did it take from the minute that photo was online to the first meme to be generated, right? Because this is the kind of thing that gives me hope for humanity, right? It's because it's I mean, it's really perfect. It's like, so this is the kind of thing that like the Firesign Theater and like Peter Bergman would really, I mean, they would be all over this because it really, again, another thing that ticks all the boxes. It's political. I mean, the image itself is hilarious, and it's just the nature of it. And and knowing Bernie Sanders through the years, being presidential candidates, in debates, obviously in the Senate and all that kind of stuff. This guy is a mensch. I mean, he's one of those guys. I mean, he's been this same person since he first got into politics. He's been the same guy. He hasn't changed. And so, obviously people have been doing a really good job of I mean, it was Photoshop's easy these days, I suppose, but doing the Bernie meme, and it's like these are the things that give me hope that the human race might just survive things. Because it's funny as shit. I mean, yeah, it's a little overdone at this point. It's like, and it only took 3 days before it's like kind of hit critical mass already. And there are some that are better than others, obviously, but it's too fucking funny. I'm trying to think. There's a few of my favorites. I'll have to find and see if I can find them. So apparently there's this other thing coming up. It says Trump paid Stormy Daniels about 13 times the amount it costs to buy a Rolex. Just saying. So apparently now people are up in arms that Joe Biden wears a Rolex watch. Same thing with the Obama and the tan suit thing. It's like, so how is this offensive to anybody? How does this hurt anybody? Other than the fact you don't like Joe Biden. So you're just going to pick apart whatever. I mean, that's the discourse that we're on the other end of it now. This is the discourse that makes me despair. It's like, who the fuck cares what kind of watch he wears? I don't fucking care. And I'm sure it's an expensive watch. I'm sure it is. He's been in politics for a long time. He's certainly not a poor person. He's going to buy an expensive watch. I would. I'm by no means rich. That, and I probably wouldn't wear a watch to begin with, but if that was my thing to do, I'd buy a nice watch. Fuck y'all. That's fucking stupid. But yeah, we're gonna give Trump a pass for basically paying for sex and cheating on his wife. That's okay. Like we're not gonna make anything about that, right? Unreal. It's fucking dumb. My friend. Old friend and colleague Umberto Crenca, he has been in the process of doing a new series of paintings. Actually, I'm going to see if I can highlight this. Yeah, a little bit. He's been doing a series of paintings of Providence. Providence of Divine Providence is the name of the series, and they're these small 11 by 14 acrylics on canvas. And I got to actually see some in person. I actually visited him over Christmas because I sort of inadvertently collaborated with him on this piece, or on this, not this piece, but on as part of this series. And I'm wondering if I can find a picture of. There it is. So I obviously I used to run an open mic at this place, at the Custom House Tavern. And so in all that time, obviously a lot of people came to that open mic and came to that bar. And my friend Ian Lacombe met his wife there, Angie, both of which would come to my open mic and play and sing and stuff like that, and that's where they met. So we always kid that I'm responsible for their children, just to kind of piss their kids off because it just sounds weird, but it's true, If not for me, they wouldn't have had those kids. There you go. So, just call me just a matchmaker, right? Anyway, so Ian got in touch with me about Custom House and was wondering if I had pictures of the place, of the front of it, So basically, as part of this Divine Providence series, Bert has been doing some commissions. So people, like, if they wanted a particular building painted or something like that, he would take commissions for it. So we found a picture. I found a picture, a couple of pictures I had of the outside of the bar, and this was the best one of the lot. This was taken actually probably basically a few days after it closed back in 2005. Again, I used to do an open mic there for a long time. And yeah, one of those things that, it much missed, I think, and it just goes towards the fact that people really recognized it and missed the place. Anyway, so Ian wanted to see if he could find something because it was the 20th anniversary of their 20th wedding anniversary, I believe. And so he was going to give this picture to his wife Angie, or this painting, I should say. And so I found the picture. I collaborated with Bert. I got him the picture, and he then painted it in a sort of a fairly somewhat realistic kind of way. If you look at it quickly, it looks like the picture for sure, but then you look a little closer, and it's very obvious that it's wonderfully painted. So anyway, so he gave that to his wife as a memento of the fact that they met at Custom House Tavern, and so that's very unexpected, nice little perk from that happened last year. You know what I mean? It's last year was such a fucking shit show, obviously, for so many that something like that could happen, and just it was a nice little change of it happened toward the end of the year, and it was kind of a nice way to like, oh, okay, art persists. So as I scroll, impeaching Trump twice wasn't enough. He needs to go to prison. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, of course. Okay, so now this is a good one. So apparently, we're talking about the meme, the Bernie meme. So this is the genius of Bernie. So Bernie Sanders turned his inauguration meme into a sweatshirt to raise money for charity. A $45 sweatshirt featuring the viral photo is available to purchase on his website. All the proceeds will be donated to Meals on Wheels Vermont. That's the dude, man. That's him. That's like fucking. And look at the way he's dressed. He's, there's another picture of him walking into the inauguration, and he's got like an opened manila envelope that looks like it has some documents in it or something. He's got those big old stupid mittens on. And it basically looks like, yeah, I got shit to do. All right, let's get this over with. I got another appointment. Come on, man. That's what the look on his face. He's clearly not wearing anything. He's not wearing, a big suit. He's not. Man, you gotta love that. That's. And I mean, like, so talk about somebody who over the years probably has more cause to be cynical. And he's still doing it. He's still just kind of hanging out and doing it, and he's being political, and he's holding people's feet to the fire. And now, he's in charge of the purse strings. So we just need to get the GOP out of the way and see what happens, right? Yeah, okay. And then so I don't even want to. I kind of. So Trump lawyer attacks appearance of Biden's press secretary and says conservative women are better looking. Are you kidding? See, that's what this is where we're at. We are literally in a fucking we're literally in the playground at recess. Really? Can't the adults take charge and just shut these people down? Really? Apparently, a lot of cops have been fired for participating in the Capitol riot. Well, I would fucking hope so. All right, here's a funny one. Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of Your Mom. All right, so that was shared by my friend Philip Proctor. Philip Proctor is another one. He is a member of the Firesign Theater. For those of you potentially not old enough to remember who they are. There's only 2 of the 4 left, unfortunately, but they were a comedy radio group from the late 60s, early 70s, and beyond, but that was their sort of heyday at their most famous. And they did, long form comedy sort of radio plays on record. Very unusual thing. Shoes for industry. Godfrey knows, awesome. It's good to know that. I think Phil Proctor would be very happy to know that folks in Australia appreciate the Firesign Theater, because they didn't travel a heck of a lot outside of the country. They were really an American concern, which is one of the reasons why is Phil Austin eventually kind of developed a fear of flying, so they didn't travel much, and especially toward the end of their time together, they pretty much did shows on the West Coast, and that's about it. So that way he could drive up and down in his RV. I was lucky enough to see them on a number of occasions, starting with my 40th birthday, back in 2005, and I flew to Portland, Oregon, for 2 shows, and met them and befriended them online, and then eventually saw them and met them again, and did indeed become friends with them online, and otherwise. They really nice people. They kind of like brought I'm not the only person they've done this with, but anybody that was crazy enough to fly across the nation on a number of occasions to see them live, I think that they kind of said enough to them that was like, oh, okay, this guy's crazy enough, so let's invite him over to have a drink or whatever, so in talking about anybody who's been here all night, been listening, talking to me about the voice and the human voice and all that kind of stuff, and talking about Michael Nesmith and the things, the importance of the human voice and the distinctiveness of people's voices. So if you talk about that, you're talking to people like the Firesign Theater or the Monkees or the Beatles, or very, groups of people that have these very, very, just there's lilts and there's tone and there's depth and atmosphere to a person's voice. And the Firesign Theater especially, like along with the Goon Show as well, which was Spike Milligan, Peter Sellers, Harry Seacombe, very distinctive. And, obviously that was a radio show, so they had to have distinctive voices. But the same thing with the Firesign Theater, not only their regular speaking voices, but then of course they did characters and all that. But to me, the same thing, when I hear their voices, either whether they're working together or separately or whatever, it's a very comforting thing to me. There are certain voices that I'll just always, whether they're here with us or passed away or whatever it might be, those certain voices will always sort of, if I hear them either doing their art or in interviews or whatever it might be, I search it out, or if I see something new or different, I'll search it out. Because there's something about that their voices and how they've cultivated it. I mean, it's obvious. Phil Proctor's a voice artist as well. He's done countless movies as just a voice artist outside of the Firesign Theater. So, people know and have heard his voice, but may not know who that is. And there are probably some people in the Firesign Theater that aren't even aware. That are aware of the Firesign Theater. I mean, so the fact that, like Zach, the one thing that Facebook is cool for is that I can be friends with these people. Like Michael Nesmith is a friend of mine. Phil Proctor is a friend of mine. David Ossman is a friend of mine. That's fucking crazy, man. I mean, there's something very humanizing about it all on a lot of levels, which is very nice. It's just, unfortunately, it gets out of control with some people, But same thing on a day-to-day basis. It's something I look forward to, being able to kibitz even a little bit online with these folks and talk about stuff, and throw an old Firesign line like Shoes for Industry out there, and just like You know, and they know what you're talking about. They know you know what they're talking about, etc. um, okay. Oh, okay. Well, here's another quote from Phil Proctor. Well, not from him, but it's from Thomas Paine. Reason obeys itself, and ignorance submits to whatever is dictated to it. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. That's a statement for the ages that I'm going to share. You're going to watch me share it, man. I'm going to share it to my news feed. God damn it. Without comment. Crazy. I'm crazy. I'm sharing without comment. Usually I make a comment, but I don't need to there. I like looking, so I think when it comes to Facebook, there is something. I mean, it's kind of hypnotic, which is not a good thing for somebody like me. I'm obsessive compulsive, hence having to be sober. So unfortunately, it's for something like this, which is kind of addictive. I gotta watch myself, because there are times when I've gotten a lot better. I actually used to be a lot worse, but I do find that I need to, like, pull back. I mean, it's been hard the past 4 years for obvious reasons. I get a lot of my news from Facebook stuff. I mean, I try to make sure that it's real news, obviously, that it's not just bullshit. I mean, I try to know the difference anyway. I think it's pretty obvious. For giving us Repo Man. Yeah, no, right? Right. So I mean, voice is not aside. Michael Nesmith obviously is somebody. Well, obviously Michael Nesmith in Australia had the bigger hit with Rio than in any other country back in the 70s, right? He's, and the Monkees obviously are very popular still in Australia. It's interesting. I was actually watching just yesterday old news footage from the tour they did in 1968, the Monkees. I think they're flown into Adelaide. I want to say, and they were doing it was newsreel footage of them arriving at the airport at a press conference that got overrun by a couple of, like, kind of crazed female fans, and it's all on film, and it's really kind of frightening, actually. But you see them, Davey and Peter get up and try to help them, the girls, and just like, it's a very kind of a moving and strange thing, all that. But yeah, Mike Nesmith, yeah, he's got a lot of ties to Australia, just in that regard. He was able to make his way in the late 70s in Australia more than he could in his own country. Go figure, right? Oh boy. Interesting. Oh boy. So I'm not going to play anything here, and I'm not going to even click on it because I'm not sure if I want to. But one of Trump's, persons, Kellyanne Conway, accused of emotional and physical abuse by teen daughter in distressing videos. Ooh. That's not good. I'm not surprised, but that's not good. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of comment there, but that doesn't surprise me. That's unfortunate, though. It's unfortunate, that the children of people like that, who are smarter than their parents in that regard. Like, put it this way, I hope that her daughter does something like, gets emancipation from her. No, I think her father has actually left Kellyanne Conway. I think that happened very recently. It's just surprising that it took that long. So hopefully, maybe she'll go with him, if assuming he wasn't a part of that abuse. I hope not. Good Lord. Yeah, I mean, I think the Facebook is definitely a it's a roller coaster. Oh, jeez, I love this. New study shows COVID-19 could hide in your brain and reactivate down the road. Oh my God. I mean, I have to laugh. I can't, Jesus Christ. Ah, God, it's like it just never stops, right? I just want one headline. Universe, I just want one headline that just says COVID hates humans enough to leave us alone. you know, fucking A. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Here's another. Oh, that's a good one. All right, that's a good one. There's another Bernie meme. Uh, Jesus. Humans are funny, man. Humans are funny people. Humans are funny people. I mean, do the math of that, right? Talk about redundant. Oh man. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Da, 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 da. Yeah, well, we know that part. Um, so this is interesting. Actually, I was reading that this. I haven't read the actual article, but again, it comes from my friend Phil Proctor. New York Times buried this today, but this is huge. Mr. Biden, as in President Biden, will also seek to allow workers to draw unemployment benefits if they quit jobs they fear are unsafe amid the pandemic, by asserting that workers have a federally guaranteed right to refuse employment that will jeopardize their health. And if they do so, they will still qualify for unemployment insurance. White House officials said in a fact sheet detailing the orders. I didn't read that well, but there you go. That's great. I think that makes a lot of fucking sense. My current job situation is such where I have seen people from students all the way up to admin and everybody in between, from faculty to admin to staff to whomever. I'm not saying it's everybody, but I've seen enough of it where people are not fucking uh they're not adhering to the protocols. Some of them ain't wearing masks. Some of them are not wearing the masks incorrectly or correctly, I should say. They're not distancing. They're doing everything wrong. Now, I have certain comorbidities because I'm older and because I have certain health things that make it more possible for me to catch this shit. But I'm there every fucking day handling handling these people. Do you think I want to be? Fuck no. Believe me, there have been more than one, especially last semester. There's a couple of moments there where I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not coming in. Fuck it. Until they fucking handle this shit. Tell you what, we have semester starting in a week. And I'm going to put this to the test potentially because I have a feeling, especially, with this other hybrid version of it, potentially around the corner. It's in New York, it's in Connecticut, it's in Massachusetts. It's just a matter of time before it's in Rhode Island. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So that people will feel that they can protect themselves because other people are being assholes. And because, and what happens is that the people that are in charge of the situation, the people that run the situation, and I'm not just talking about my situation, but any situation, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a gas station, whether it's a fucking grocery store, whatever the hell it might be, if they are not challenging people to do the right fucking thing, whether that's people that work there or people that visit there or shop there or whatever it is, if they're just going to let it go and basically make for a hostile work environment, those people should be able to stay the fuck home and get unemployment because they can't work in that particular situation. So that's a good thing. That's fucking progress. It's called it's called a civil society. These days being civil apparently is it's just not a thing. It's not taught anymore. So no one cares, you know? So yeah, that's a little hard, that's heartening, hopefully. Um Let me see. Oh, okay. Another Bernie meme. This one is specific to Rhode Island. In-season resort Surfside. Too funny. Yeah, see, at this point I'm just I'm just strolling through Facebook while doing a live thing. Um, so, well, not a lot of people here, but some people have left. But there are still people. It says that there are people on. I know Godfrey. I see that you've chimed in a little bit. But is there? I don't know. Is there anybody else out there in YouTube land listening to this? Say hello in the comments, man. Whether I know you or not. That's the whole point of it. That's why I made it public. That way, I wanted to, get it out there. Oh, well, this is an interesting, obviously, a big story. The Keystone Pipeline halted as Biden revokes permit. That's huge, especially from someone like Biden. A lot of people were concerned that I mean he's a career politician. He was a senator for what 30 years or something like that. And he's had. There are things in his past and his voting, record that were concerning. Of course, I think that as he's gotten older and as things have happened, some people have said that when his son died, Bo, that he changed very deeply, I guess, in regards the things that make a humane person. So for good or bad, those can be the things that can potentially change a person for sure. And you got to remember, he also lost, his wife and his first son as well. It's not. You don't know. You don't wish that kind of. I don't know. You don't wish that on people. I mean, believe me, I wished it on certain people like Mitch McConnell. But for some reason, the universe tends to ignore people like that, which is weird. If anybody that needs a little bit of retribution, it's him. But anyway, so the fact that he's doing that, and which is interesting because it's actually pissed off Canada, so that's talk about irony, right? Because Canada, I think we're looking for the payday for that, but it's also the fact that pipeline was going through, sovereign Indian land. And of course it should be stopped. I'm probably losing people now because I'm talking about politics. But time is it now? Actually, it's 9:40. Probably do this for another 20 minutes or so, and then I'll probably move on for the night. But I usually keep these to about 2 hours, if that. I think that it's hit my beloved monkeys for sure. There we go. Bernie has now joined the monkeys. That's a good one, actually. That works really well. Oh man, that's just too fucking funny. I'm sorry. So that's gonna go forever now. I mean, shit, that's just gonna go forever. I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's just so funny. It's just well done. I like when humor can be well done, and there are those in the human race that have done that well. They've just done a great job of trotting that. Now, okay, the irony of it is that it's kind of made it so that nobody's paying attention to Biden. But something, that's okay. For the first time in 4 years, we don't have to worry about Biden. I'm not worried about Biden. He's actually he's got a lot of work to do just undoing the bullshit that Trump did. And that's what he's currently working on. and he did more in the first 5 minutes of his fucking tenure as president than Trump destroyed over the past 4 years. Man. Anyway, so the fact that there's a Bernie meme that everybody's kind of like having some fun with and being humor because for the love of God, we need it. After 4 fucking years of this horror show, more than anything, we need to laugh again, to be able to laugh at stuff, you know? So, truthfully, even with COVID, fuck, the fact that COVID is now this even more pernicious little prick, it's just like, of course it is, um, man, I, okay. So once we get into the other areas of Facebook. So one of the things that okay, this is actually Prague Magazine. Interesting. Oh, good. I'm glad that they're good. I'm glad they're okay. Okay. This is cool. This is a good article. Great. Hang on. So, see, this is what I like about Facebook. Again, is where I get some of my news, of where I get a lot of my musical articles. Chicago, Prague, jazz rock, or AOR? The truth was a mix of all three. Yes, of course it was. I'm really happy they're doing that. That's awesome. This is coming from Prague Magazine, which obviously we're talking prog rock, progressive rock. I have always said that Chicago were they ran with a bit of the times. They kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They started off in '68 as a pretty much a prog rock band as far as I'm concerned. And they went through a number of things, and they had some mainstream successes with mainstream radio. But those first bunch of records, man, like especially the first 5 or 6, were prog, jazz, fusion. Like, they're great records, especially when Terry Kath was their guitarist. Pretty much anything from their first record to the last record with Terry Kath. Again, there's a lot of AOR stuff on some of those later records, but it's, as far as I'm concerned, hey, Terry Kath's on it, so it's good enough for me. All of those records deserve to be lauded as stuff that, like, it needs to be looked at again. And I'm glad that's why they're doing this, is because it even says it. It says there's nothing. Robert Lamb, who is the keyboardist, says there's nothing I like more than going into a record store, finding our back catalog filed in the prog section alongside greats such as Yes and Genesis. Hell yeah, for sure. If you listen to any, especially like the first 3 albums before they did the Carnegie Hall Live record, which is on its own, I mean, that record on its own is just crazy because it was such a huge record, so much on it. Those first 3 double albums, which is also unheard of, is so chock full of stuff, and it's prog. I mean, it's prog jazz, really. So this is I'm gonna bookmark that puppy, and I'm also, because I can save it, I'm gonna share it. And what I'm gonna write, yes, damn straight, it's about time for a evaluation of these guys. All right. Yeah, Chicago. They were big in high school for me and my buddies. We were big Chicago fans for sure, especially my friend Keith, his brother Stan. So we listened to a lot of Chicago. We actually got to see them, not with Terry Kath, unfortunately, but we did get to see them a couple of times, and it was just on the cusp of their big success with that David Foster produced record with what's the name of the damn song? The big AOR hit they had in like the early '80s, whatever it was. I forget what it was called. Hard Habit to Break, is that what it's called? I think. Um, those records, they are what they are. Yeah, they're very much designed for mainstream work. So the later records, not so much. You know, but it's the Terry Kath records, and unfortunately, obviously, he passed unceremoniously back in '78 from a gunshot wound because he was fucking around with his guns. Um, so that's cool. So talking about music in that regard, for me, I have been trying to recollect all of those remastered albums on CD, and they're hard to find these days. So if you look for the early Chicago records on CD, pick them up because they sound great. And as a band, Chicago they're just sort of unfortunately have been placed into that AOR, mainstream radio, you know, thing, and it's just like it's not really fair. They really should have like specific eras of Chicago. This era belongs here, this era belongs there. So that's cool. So that's the other thing I like about Facebook is you get to see some articles like that. It makes my day. You know. This is interesting. Fans of AC/DC says Bon Scott's Lost Songs finally released after 50 years, eh? Huh. That's interesting. Oh, it's of the band he was in before AC/DC. Interesting. Okay, that's also interesting. Huh. I didn't expect that one. Let's see. Where else we got him? Oh no. Yeah, it had to happen. Where's Bernie? Find him. Yeah, okay. Oh, and this is where it's probably a good place to stop right here. We started with the banana splits, and we're going to end with the banana splits, right? I got to meet Sid Croft at a party. Wow, that's funny. As I've said, yes, the banana splits were also very heavy in my childhood, but I've said that before. Anyway, so it's about 8 minutes of 10. Is that right? Yeah, thereabouts. I'm going to start the process of winding down things for the night. So the idea, again, since I am back to work, as I was trying to do, on average, I did about half a month last December. I was trying to do something every night, which was kind of ambitious, I think. Just wasn't going to really happen because of various things, Um, I'm going to try to do these every, once a week. Either it'll happen on Friday or Saturday night, depending. Fridays, I have a half day, so it gives me an opportunity to decompress and potentially do it. But it will really depend. So it'll either be Friday or Saturday nights, 7:30 or 8 o'clock, depending. I might do some earlier or whatever. The last one I did on a Sunday night because we had Monday off. So but I do, so I think I'm going to continue to do it on YouTube, at least for the time being. That way, because then it's all automatically up on YouTube if people wanted to go see it later or revisit something I've said, for good or bad, and I have other ideas of things I want to talk about at some. I for a while in December I did a number of shows. There's still a number of shows that I did through Facebook that I need to edit and get up on YouTube. And I was dealing with and talking about my own music, and remastering it and finishing some stuff and working on some new stuff. Oh, it's my cat. What's the matter, dude? Oh my goodness. my cat's in a funny place. He's making these very funny noises. As he's kind of an old man too, so he kind of I think he gets either that or he's not feeling well. I'm not really sure. So hopefully that's not the case. But but that's just as well. That's another good reason to start winding down for the night. But I hope people who are watching or that were online with me will come back and listen. I find it's very cool that I'm making it out there all the way to Australia. That's exactly what I want to do, man. So yeah, hey, Godfrey, if you're still on, if you give people that you know in your circles or in your area that you're interested that you think might be interested in me in shooting the shit like this as I do, let them know. I'm just doing this mostly as for my own vanity because I think it's fun because it's something I've always wanted to do, and I'd like to do more of. And I have some again other ideas of things to do. One of the things I wish I could do is do like and I have to maybe just do a little more research about things I might be able to get away with, but being able to play and or do comments about music. Um, some people have asked me to talk about specific albums that loom large in my psyche, and like talk about those albums, in depth. I just wish that I could do it in such a way where I could play examples of the record without getting flagged for copyright. That's always the the bugaboo about that. So I'm trying to figure out ways of maybe working around that if I can. But I what but I want to do it live. I want to do it. I don't want to record it and edit it and then throw it up there. I mean, I could do that, but I like the live element of it because I just do. I just like the idea that my voice is going out there where it's going out there. So, like I said, I feel like I'm just you know that late night radio show on an AM station, 12 to 4 a.m. I'm just in a slightly darkened radio station, all alone. Voices just kind of going out there, playing tunes, talking about shit, talking about the news, doing newscasts, doing the weather, doing whatever it is you do in a 4 hour radio broadcast every morning to not too many people because most people are sleeping. But with YouTube Live and all that stuff, it's like it's not just to the local folks. I can be talking to people that are halfway around the world. That's cool. I find that very fun, and I need more fun in my life. Maybe we all do, especially during these times. I hope that y'all, Godfrey in Australia, are doing well with the COVID stuff, staying safe. I'm not. You guys are doing a hell of a lot better than we are doing here in America, obviously. From what I've seen, so hopefully it stays that way. But stay vigilant. I think is probably the thing to talk to think about. So maybe next week what I'll try to do is I'll between now and then if I can get it together is I'll look for an album that I want to talk about, and I'll go deep into it. I'll go into how it was made, the technical aspects of it, the musical aspects of it, the lyrical aspects of it, how it affected me in my life, because I don't know anything other than my life. So everything that I talk about is how it's all about me. This is my universe, you're welcome to it. um, so if you're all interested in my universe, well, I'll leave the door open until you're not interested, and then we'll go home. That's all. It's pretty much how it works, right? Um, Otherwise, a couple more minutes, but I'll give it. I'll give it like another couple minutes and see if anything happens between now and then. Um, I think that what was I going to say? Sorry, distracted. Um, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. Okay, so let's look at this because I think this is an interesting thing to look at. Um, in the last couple of minutes before we move along. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll leave you with this for the night. Um, I don't even know how to read that number. Well, it's trillion, I guess, right? Million, billion, trillion. Yep. So I would like to look at this and see if it's actually correct numbers. But it says 6,472,200,000,000. That's how much we can seize from the billionaire class without even reducing the number of billionaires. That could entirely eradicate world hunger for 216 years. 1/20th of it would halt climate change by 2030. Oh, and remember, this doesn't even take a penny from people with only 1 billion. Just spent a while with a spreadsheet and the Forbes 2019 rich list. Thought I'd share. Yeah. Well, I'll leave this thought with you for sure. I have said for a long time that, and oh, you're going to call me an anti-capitalist for this. I don't care. But if you make $1 billion, if you do whatever the fuck you do, hopefully non-criminally, and you make $1 billion and you have $1 billion in the bank, guess what? You won. You won life. Confetti, streamers, huzzah. Awesome. Great. Good job. All right. Anything you make above that goes back into the kitty. And that's it. Now you have to give back. Period. Because not everybody's going to make $1 billion. And not only that, the people that make $1 billion, because somehow that makes them think that they've worked hard for that money. Okay. No, doesn't necessarily mean that. So that money goes back into the infrastructure and goes back into the kitty to help people that don't have the wherewithal, whatever that means. And usually that means people that don't have health insurance or people that, for whatever reason, just don't have the means to be a billionaire or want to be. But they want clean water. They want health care. They want to know that, they're not going to go hungry tomorrow. They want to know that they're going to have clean air to breathe. That's not a radical idea. I mean, it's not radical to anybody else on the fucking planet. Apparently it is for America. That shit's got to change, right? Just saying. We all need to have a better sense of like what the fuck the human animal really needs. Otherwise, we're just going to die ourselves out, aren't we? I guess if we're that stupid, then that's what we'll do. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know, and I hope I see it before, in my lifetime. I'm not sure if that's realistic or not, considering, but we'll see. But that's exactly that particular little meme is a pertinent one for me, because especially now with everything new here in America, those are the kinds of things that need to move forward, so that there's some equality and equity, not only in the classes but for people of other races, etc. That's a whole other rant. I could go on for another 2 or 3 hours on that one, but I'm getting tired. It's been 2 hours. It's about 10 o'clock my time here on the East Coast, Rhode Island, Saturday, January 23rd. I'm gonna give it up for the night, and I will hopefully see you next either Friday or Saturday night. Same time, same bat channel. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about. We'll find out when we get there. So hopefully come back next week, and I will talk to you then. Good night and good luck.